Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Rachel. This is a space that I'm exploring posting on in 2025, so thank you for being here and checking it out. My first video back in nearly 2 years was an entire flip through of my 2024 book bullet journal, and it only makes sense that the next video be a flip through of my 2025 book bullet journal. I am so excited about this one. I'm continuing with using the 8x8 square from Archer and Olive. I absolutely love these journals, and it's gotten easier and easier to move from year to year as I figured out my system and what works and how I like to lay out these pages. But without further ado, let's flip through my book bullet journal for 2025. So this is again an Archer and Olive journal, 8x8, has a fun gold embossed cover, and this one is like a linen fabric texture, which is really cool. Different from last year's cover. Let me know if you want to see a video flipping through the differences in 2024 and 2025, like side by side. I'm happy to do that, but I also posted the flip through of last year already if you're curious. I moved my reference page. We have that here and the inside flap, which is great. I still want to design a cover page here, but I haven't gotten to that yet. You'll see as I go throughout that there are still some things in progress here, but I wanted to show you what we're working with. We have an index spread. I love having just a reference. I do go through and number all of my pages as I find that that's really helpful for me and to have a record of what is where. We have the same grid for my yearly stats, and I will do a little chart here with my books and pages for each month. We have star ratings, and new this year, a spice rating page. I do get all of this information from romance.io. It's a fantastic website if you are a romance reader, you want information or recommendations about tropes or anything related to romance. Highly recommend. And all of my star ratings will be tracked here. I will total them up when the year comes to an end. We have the same days I finished a book in 2025 spread. I just really love the pixel look of this. Our favorite read from each month. Halfway top 12 and a top 12 of 2025. All of my 5-star favorites. Hopefully I fill up 2 spreads, but TBD on that. Major Weeper, aka the books that made me cry. If you know the reference for this, you are my kind of person. The romance bingo, again, I will paste in a little book cover over these. I'll just actually tape the top part so it can kind of flip up and you can see the underneath, which is great. We have a trope tracker this year. I'm thinking of just doing a dot as I've started here for what tropes my books include. I think that will be fun. I've never done that before. A second page in case I come across tropes that are not listed here, but I think I want to include. We have my Rad Reading Challenge. I've done this for, I believe, 7 years in a row, and it's a really fun way to read collectively with other people. I did make a note for the book that I've already read that will fulfill that category. I need to print that one out. We have an alphabet challenge where every book title gets filled in based on what letter of the alphabet it starts with. The Book of the Month challenge, I did actually get the accurate one. You might remember last year I put it in my journal before they actually released their challenge, so it was incorrect, which was annoying. But these are the little kind of icons they use in the website and on the app to track this challenge, and I'll be curious to see if I can fulfill it this year. Books read, I will color in a square based on the star rating for every book that I read this year. I will keep a log where I just simply list the title, author, and rating. We have an audiobook list. I have become much more of an audiobook listener than I ever was before, and it's really great to have a list of those. We have books with BIPOC representation as well as LGBTQIA+ representation. I really want to focus on this more in my reading life, as I always do, but increasingly so, and it will be great to have that in here. I did put the line in the wrong place, so ignore that white out. Okay, thank you. We have books from different publishers. I am curious to see what publishers I read the most from. I've never tracked this before, but with just changes in the industry and the big 5 kind of dominating everything, I'll be really curious to see what imprints I read the most from, or just how this all kind of shakes out, and wanting to make sure I'm reading from indie sources as well as the big major publishers. So we'll see what that looks like by the end. I added this later in the year to 2024, but I'm doing it from the start here. I do actually want to add a 2026 bubble in case I read any arcs that are coming out next year, but I haven't gotten there yet. These are obviously not all apples to apples, but it's fun to see kind of what date ranges I'm reading the most books from, as I find that typically I'm reading most books that are published in that current year, but really wanting to make sure I'm reading some backlist things too, and not just getting swept up in like the hype around new books. So this is a fun one. And then NetGalley. This is another space that I have struggled to really stay consistent and committed, but I wanted to start the year by noting what my ratio was, how many I have had approved, how many feedback or how much feedback I've sent and how many are currently on my shelf. I have listed out everything that's currently in my NetGalley. Also given myself room if I add more, because I probably will. And really wanting to make sure I'm actually reading these books. So many of these have lingered on my Kindle for way too long, and I want to actually get to them so I can be helpful to the authors and publishers in promoting these books. That's kind of the whole point, and I've been slacking. So this is a goal for 2025. Lots of pages for that. I'm doing Conquer a Classic. Annie B. Jones is the owner of the bookshelf down in Thomasville, Georgia. I absolutely love shopping from her bookstore. It's incredible, and she's a great follow on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere. But every year they conquer a classic collectively, and there's a little bit of a reading plan. I have never read Don Quixote, so I am excited to do that. I think I will only do it with this accountability, so we will see how that goes. And then here are my 2025 goals. I didn't really put a goal spread in 2024's journal. I just never got around to it. And I just kind of wanted last year to be calm and chill in my reading life and not be super committed to like achieving any set goals. But this year I'm back at it. I have a number goal set. I wanted, like I said, to conquer a classic, read an 800 pager, finish a series, probably like one that I start. I want to reread some old favorites. I don't do a lot of rereading, so that's a fun goal. Completing some of the challenges are on here. I'm wanting to read actual numbered, like put some real goals on this, so I really focus on it. A certain number of books on audio. I do want to get back to Bible reading. I have been really not interested in engaging with scripture for the long haul over the last few years as I've gone through some major deconstruction and leaving my church job, but I want to get back into it. I have a beautiful children's Bible on my nightstand that I think will be the best way for me to engage with scripture again, so curious to see what that looks like. And then wanting to think about reading some different audiobooks by the same narrator and more nonfiction. In the past, I have read a lot of nonfiction, but over the last few years, that's really shifted for fiction to be my focus. So I want to make sure I'm continuing to have some more like personal development in the mix. And that is all I've got for my first half. There's always a couple pages that I leave in case anything new comes about like it did last year, but that is all kind of my holistic spreads. The challenges, the data, the tracking, the favorites, all of that is really the first half of this journal, or a little bit less than half. It's the first 59 pages. These are 160 page journals. So most of the space is left for here at the back for my monthly roundups. What I typically do is print out a square picture of the books I've read in the month. I always stack them up on my bookshelf. So I'll put that here, and then I'll put in some stats and analysis of my reading, and I'll print out some tiny little book covers, paste them in, put some little reviews for each book that I read. You can look back at the 2024 video to see what that looks like in practice, but these will be the pages where I document my monthly reviews, everything I read month to month, and I have tons of space for that, so I will not run out of room. And let me know if you have any other ideas or suggestions, any other challenges or goals I should set to put in here. If there are other page ideas that you use in your journals that you love, I'd be very curious to see, because I've kind of gotten into a pretty good routine with what I know I like, but I always want to mix it up and be sure that I'm adding fun new things to keep me interested. So without any other random chatter, that is my 2025 book bullet journal. Like and subscribe to see more if I share throughout the year. Thanks for being here, y'all.